Hey, it's Brittany with Rec Room Recording again. We talked for a couple of weeks now about how to get your songs up and published and out there into the world for everybody to hear. We've covered some of the steps that you need to take first once you've got your audio completed, some of the information that you need to have ready to go in order to send your recordings off to a distributor for your digital distribution. And so today we're actually going to go to one of those sites just for an example, and I'm going to walk through those steps and just kind of demonstrate what that is going to look like when you're finally ready to submit your songs. I'm going to walk through the steps now of how to get your release set up on the Amuse platform for distributing your songs to all the streaming sites. I'm going to talk a little bit about the registration here, but I don't have a good way to go through all the steps to show you right now because I already have an account. So I'll talk through a few quick details first. With any distributor, it's extremely likely you'll need to register an account anyway, so this shouldn't be pretty new or unique in and of itself. I do remember that once I entered this information on the first page, it had a text verification for me to move forward onto the next steps, and then it also had asked if we had music out on any other platforms such as Spotify. It did that so that it could sync up the artist profile with anything else that's already associated with us. So that is going to be a really, really important step, that you match up anything else you've ever done so that you don't find out years down the road you've got 2 or 3 different artist profiles on Spotify just because you used a different service to distribute through. You still want all of your music to be found in the same place, on the same profile, so your fans can get to your stuff easily. So make sure that you pay attention as you're going through those steps as you move forward through the process. Because I've already completed my account and we've already released some music using this distributor, I'm going to go ahead and log in, and that's up at the top of the screen here. After you've created your account or logged in, you're going to have a quick dashboard here that's going to be a review of any releases you have started and have put out into the world. So you can see our past releases that are showing that they're live on stores, the most recent ones, and when it had been released and got out to the public. And to start a new one, I simply go up to the big yellow button in the corner that says Release. And this takes me to a screen to start entering all of the details of the project that we're going to send next. Now, I will warn that on this particular site, you don't have the ability to save your progress and then jump back in at a later time to finish entering the information. Some of the other distributors might have that option. Having not used them very much, I don't know what their system is with saving a release partway through. But you know, by the time you're getting to this point in the process, you should already have all the information about your songs and what information you need to enter and post in order for it to go out there. So just make sure that you have all of those details at hand, in front of you, easy to access, and ready to go. So the first thing with the release details is going to be the title. And if you're doing a single, this will simply be the title of that one song. If you're doing an album, it will, of course, then be the album title instead. If you are under a label at all, you'll definitely need to list that information as well, and select the genre. Now, this is a drop-down list that has an awful lot of options. I've seen a lot of really niche genres going out lately, which are sometimes really fun. This lists a lot of sub-genres within each of the broad categories, but it is, as you can see, a pretty exhaustive list. So hopefully you can find something that's going to be the best fit for your style of music. Actually kind of handy that alternative is right up at the top of the list, so I'll leave that on there. It's pretty close to what we qualify as anyway for moving forward in this quick demonstration. A few places in here, it'll ask what language your music is in, and that's just the proper way to code it so that as your releases are available in other countries, they know that any of the information contained within your song is going to be in the English language. Now, for your cover art, you can either click on the big plus sign or you can drag and drop to get to your files to load them in. And I'm just going to navigate quickly to the folder that I have and bring my artwork into place here. Gibson covered a lot of details just the other day about what your cover art must be for these digital releases. Amuse does require it to be square. That's pretty common, but it lists the parameters again right here in case you need to make any quick changes. You can jump over and make sure that your artwork fits their parameters. Every distributor could be just a little bit different. And that's all there is on the first page, because that's just the blanket information that's going to apply across the board for all of your tracks. Next, we have the opportunity to drag and drop or click on this box to add the audio files. I'm going to jump in once again to navigate to where our mixes are held. And I'm just going to do 2 of the songs today for this. You can select multiples at once. You don't have to do them once at a time. But I'm not going to take your time to enter all 13. So once I click to add those files, they're going to start processing. And while they are being uploaded into this service, I can go ahead and add some more details about each of the songs. You will have to do this per track, so it can be a little bit time consuming. Let's dive in and I'll show you everything there is on the first track. No surprise, it's going to ask you for the title of your song. At the top, it's going to list which audio file this is associated with. So if I forgot which one I clicked on, I can just look right up at the top to make sure that I'm putting the correct title on the correct track. There's a little question mark here that is an option I can hover if I have any uncertainties or questions along the way. This can help give a few tips so that I can get the information correctly. This question mark advises not to include any information about featured artists or about different versions of what the release might be. The version is actually a field that we'll enter in the very next line item. If this is, say, a live version, a remastered, a demo, maybe a radio edit, if there was an explicit version already out there, we'd select that information from this drop-down list. The recording year defaults to the year that you're releasing it in as well, although you could, if it had been recorded in the previous year or even, decades earlier, this you can certainly change it, but it's kind of nice that it defaults to what is going to be relevant for many artists in this position. The English language was already selected for what the track title was in, because I selected that for what the album was going to be in. And then it also asks me if it contains any singing, rapping, or other vocals. In my case, yes, it does. But the lyrics, again, English for us, but I definitely know some English artists who might have done a song in another language or multiple ones. The next stage here is for checkboxing whether or not you've got explicit content into your song. There are actually 3 options. It's not just a yes or no. There's a little explanation under each one. The explicit content, of course, would be if there's some foul language that is in your lyrics, you'll definitely want to make sure that that is selected. The clean version is actually if maybe the original version of the song had some of those words, but you are currently working on releasing the clean version that might be edited already or with replacement lyrics, substitute lyrics for those lines. And then the not explicit is what you would keep the selection as if the song just simply didn't have any profanity or offensive language in the lyrics in the first place. You do need to select and let them know if the song that you're releasing is a cover song, or if you have taken somebody else's song and are simply putting out a remixed version of it, or if this is a piece of original work that you own. Next, we get to the ISRC number, which I know I've talked about in a little bit of detail before. I'm going to just hit that one more time. This is an extremely important number that helps to sync up the metrics and statistics for any song that's ever been released and put out there. You must use an ISRC number that's already been assigned to a track if it's come out before. If this is a brand new first-time release and you've never done that before, chances are, if you've never released a song, you don't already have an ISRC number. And when you hover over this question mark, it says clearly on here that Amuse will assign one for free. Some other distributors might charge a nominal fee in order to assign those ISRC numbers to the tracks. Amuse does it included with their services. So if you've released your song before, make sure that you track down any past information that you can find to get that ISRC number and load that information, type it in here. You'll see a quick example of the formatting that it's asking for, the country of origin, and a few other little details. But once you get your ISRC number, keep a good track of that for your entire catalog so that you can always reference what that number is if you ever need it in the future. The YouTube Content ID and the TikTok Start Time are features that are only available if you've signed up for the Amuse Pro service. You can opt in to have the monetized with the Content ID and with the short little 30-second bursts available on TikTok currently. You can tell it what timestamp to start in your song, so you can kind of have it feature the best part if you want to. But those two are not available options if you are just using the free version of Amuse. And the final section here is about the artists, contributors, writers, and other people involved in the song itself. Now, this account that we logged into is already associated with Frank Muffin as the primary artist, so that is what I'm leaving here. If this was featuring another artist, I could add that by clicking on this button here and adding some extra information to that field. This is where I had mentioned about that featured artist above. You would not include that in the track title. This is where you would be entering that information if it was a collaboration piece. You can also add other contributors. I actually add myself as a contributor as the mixer for these songs. And it asks if I already have music live on Spotify. Well, technically, the Frank Muffin music is what I'm a part of, but I don't have anything on Spotify under my own name. So I'm going to select no for this particular option here. I don't already have an artist profile on Spotify. But this way, I still end up in the liner notes and get credit where it's due. Same with the songwriter associated with this piece. We enter Hans's name there, and he's also already preloaded for the royalty splits here as the copyright holder for this music. If there had been a featured artist and an agreement with maybe a different contributor, then we can add the information regarding any splits that would separate those royalties up between multiple people. So pay close attention to those details to make sure everything is correctly entered, and that way everybody is assigned their fair portion. You click save at the bottom of the screen, really just moves you on to the next phase and allows you to jump back into now entering the details for the next track. So I'm going to do that real quick and show you what the next steps are. Okay, Gibson, you don't have to show this part. I'm just going to kind of breeze through as quickly as I can instead of stopping the screen capture. Okay, so I've got all of the little details entered for those two songs that I was just going to use as a sample for you. You see, it can be a little bit time consuming, especially your first time through, but you just kind of wash, rinse, repeat your way all the way through however many tracks you have, whether this is an album or an EP. The only time it's a quicker process is then if you're doing just a single, you'd only have to add the details for the one song as you go. When I'm ready to go and I know I've added all the details for every page, you'll see little green check boxes here to indicate that you've filled in all of the required fields. You can click the next button and it'll take you to some information about the delivery of your music. The music stores, it's showing all available and all available countries. What they mean by all available is that it's going to go out to every store that Amuse has a partnership and an agreement with in order to get your music posted and streamable by their customers. So if I want to click on the music stores here, I can actually see what stores those are. It's a list that you probably should have checked into before you settled on which distributor you want to use, but this is kind of nice to refresh your memory on that. Amuse's list isn't as long as some of the other distributors. I've seen some advertise that you can get your music out to just hundreds of stores, and that's great because you want to reach as many people as possible. In my particular point of view on this, and I see that it's got the heavy hitters right here at the top. I know that my music's getting out to almost anybody and everybody that I know. So I'm not as worried about some of the other smaller named sites. I've never even heard of some of the ones there partway down the list. So you kind of hit that point where how many more gains and, return on that investment are you getting by getting out to the hundreds of stores if that's only hitting maybe 1 or 2% of the entire market share. So you make the decision that's right for you. If there's some reason why you don't want your music on Amazon Music, you can uncheck that box and then move forward to the next step. But Amuse does default to having every checkbox in place here. If I click save, it's going to drop me right back down to where I left off with these delivery options. And I can also see what countries as well. Default, everything that they have available. I'm not sure why somebody might specifically choose not to send their songs out to a particular state, but it's certainly within your ability to uncheck a box anywhere in the mix if that is the appropriate and or necessary choice for you. Proposed release date. This one, I had to refresh my memory by using the little hover feature once again on this when I was looking through. Amuse requires 14 days to process the delivery of your music. So you know that the release date is going to be at least 2 weeks from the time you're filling out this information. Amuse also adds as many days as necessary to put your release on a Friday because that's become the new standard for when music is coming out on a regular basis. So you do have the option to click on the date and make it a different day of the week if you really would like to. You can move it further ahead if there's some other upcoming event that you want to have your release at a particular time, or you can just leave it right there on their proposed date, 2 weeks plus whatever to make it a Friday. You'll see that any dates prior to what they're able to do are grayed out, so I can't even select an option that's too soon. Another pro feature here listed is the fast lane release. They can get it out within the 14-day time frame, and you'll see that it jumped to a few days sooner when I did that. That is not a feature that's available on the free plan. And then it's asking here if the song has ever been released before. If it has been, it's going to flag me as a reminder that I would have to add the ISRC codes for all of the tracks if this is being released again. What I showed earlier in my example, I left that blank because that's something that I would be waiting for Amuse to assign to me. So that's kind of a reminder that, oh yeah, I don't have those codes yet. This is the first time that this song is being released. So I need to have no selected on that particular question. And then I can click review. It'll show me that I've got these. I'm doing a single album in this case. I'm not doing multiple projects altogether. There's 2 tracks on it. It's going out to 16 stores and 249 countries. It's reiterating what the release date is and giving me a checkbox to accept their terms and conditions and be completely sure that I am ready to submit my music. That's all there is to it. When you're ready to go, you hit that big yellow button and you can just play the waiting game until your songs are finally released. I hope those steps are going to be helpful for you to get started on setting up your next digital release. Although we don't do publishing for our clients on a regular basis, a lot of us have done it before a little bit, which is why we wanted to share the information that we do have with everyone. We can certainly give you a few tips along the way and help you to find the right answers and the right websites to work for you. Make sure that you get in touch with us for your next recording project that we can help you through all steps of the process at Rectum Recording.